Hi, and again, thank you so much for the support I've been getting on my recent videos. I hope that we can hit 10,000 subscribers before the summer ends. But now, let's go to the textures. Well, maybe not yet, because I gotta say that this is part 4 of this series. If you want to watch the other parts, they are obviously on my channel. And of course, I will also just show the textures that were supposed to be added in Minecraft or were worked on, but they got removed eventually. One big change that is happening, or actually two big changes that I need to talk about here, is that first of all, I won't have backgrounds which are matching to the block and item that I'm talking about. It's just too time consuming, so I will just have this one instead. And as a second change, I gotta say that there are many textures which are included in a pack, which is the texture update pack, which they actually worked on. And I will show you this in a separate video. I'll make a kind of separate counter series, which will be about these new things. Alright, so the reason why I'm doing this is that it's hard to just, change qualities for the items that are in this pack. So it's better if I show them in the game, and I mean these ones that I haven't shown, and some of them that I actually have shown in my videos. So there'll be a pretty unique take on this series, and you could also take this as another series. And also I recommend liking and subscribing and even commenting what you think about this video. And of course when we hit 250 likes, I will make another part of this series. Alright, so first let's actually talk about kind of concepts. They are maybe not scrapped textures, but they kinda are. It's hard to explain. But it's also for another mob, and you probably know what I mean the Warden. Okay, so this guy had a lot of concept art, and even Skulk had a lot of concept art, so let me just show you. And it's actually hard to explain what I'm showing here, but there are many scary designs of this mob. Okay, so I just gotta say that all of them were shown in Mojang videos, so yeah, let's just talk about this. So first of all, we are getting this design, and this kinda looks like the creaking, and I think that this actually had the name Stalker, or I kinda, mixed it up with another mob, I don't actually know. But yeah, as you can see, it had a big head, it had uneven hands, and yeah, it just looks pretty weird. And this guy even had some claws on the inside, like in his stomach. Like no, the Warden has a heart, this guy had some kind of claws. The ears, or I don't know, eyes, it had this kind of glassy texture. Of course the texture was kind of a little muddy here, and also the head was more to the left than the right, which made you kind of feel a little weird. Okay, so let's go to another version, and this is pretty similar to the other one, but now this one has a blue texture, and this one is called the Stalker. And as you can see, it can actually transform, and it's shown here, and it was actually shown in some Mojang videos, I think, so this one looks really scary too. And it would actually transform into this version to chase players, and it got scrapped because it felt kinda too goofy and also a little scary. And also I kinda forgot to mention this, but this is how Skulk would actually look like if they went with, the original Warden design, which I actually showed you. So yeah, this is extremely weird, but it is actually scary. I think it might actually be more scary than what we got, and I kinda like this. Another scrapped both Skulk and Warden texture is this one, and Skulk was supposed to have similar colors to this, and same with the Warden. And this was kinda supposed to be the same as the Warden, and it had previously similar mechanics and all that, but it had just a different design. And initially it got scrapped because it was a little too gory and a little too scary, which in my opinion is the scariest model of them all. And as the last one, we got actually this one, and this was when they actually chose which mob they would make, but they weren't just sure on the texture for the Warden. So yeah, this is kinda how it looked like, and yeah, it's a little weird. It kinda looks like a helmet, and this doesn't look too scary obviously, so yeah, I would be scared of that if I was in the deep dark. But now, let's go to some other textures. When you think about golden carrots, you probably think about this texture, and it looks pretty good. In my opinion, it's one of the most well done textures in the modern textures that we actually got. And if you're an older player, you probably know about this texture, which is just an old carrot. But what if I told you that there's one more texture, actually two more textures of the golden carrot, which were added before that? Well, in snapshot 12W34A we actually got a version of the golden carrot, which was the first one, which looked like this. And this doesn't look like a carrot at all. It looks really weird, and I just don't know what to think about this. It kinda looks like old, maybe rotten, but I wouldn't eat this if I was in Minecraft. Okay, 2 weeks later they actually changed how it looked like, and it wasn't too elastic anymore, and it didn't have so many plants on the left. And to be honest, this kinda looks like the candles that I am showing in my first video of scrap textures, so that was not good either. Okay, so the week after that they added the golden carrot that we knew before they actually updated it again. I kinda covered coral in my first video of this series, but it was only dead coral, but this coral actually has much more variants, so let me just show you that. At Minecon 2017 we actually got to see the new coral textures, and they kinda looked like they were just decorated by a player, just like glazed terracotta and all that. So they didn't look like something natural, and their textures were kind of rough and a little weird. So yeah, it's good that they actually changed that. Alright, so in the snapshot we were first added, which was 18W09A, they had this texture, which was kinda smooth, maybe like sponges or things like that, but they actually had a pretty good vibe to them, and yeah, they just looked pretty good. But after that, the week later, they actually added the textures that we have now, and it's also pretty good because every color has like their unique texture. Spyglasses were added in Minecraft 1.17 and they look like this, and you probably remember them like this, and they have this pretty nice removable tile texture, and they also are 3D when you're holding them. Okay, so in snapshot 20W45A the texture looked like this, and as you can see the glass was much less visible, and I think that that's one of the only things that got updated here. But after that Mojang came to their senses and updated the texture, but it took 4 months for them before they actually updated it. To be honest, I love sandstone blocks, and now we're going to talk about chiseled and cut sandstone blocks, and of course I will talk about them from before they were added and not during the texture update. I'll cover them from the texture update in some other video and even in the in-game videos. 3 weeks before this was added, we actually had to see this texture in the files, which had many different, I don't know, like things on them. It had like 4 different squares, and all the squares show different things. The only things that I actually see is, yeah, a Steve probably, a creeper, and the 2 others. I don't actually know what this is. And here we have the cut sandstone texture, and what even is this? I don't actually know. This kinda looks like the breeze, but I gotta say, this was like 12 years before they added the breeze, so what even is this? We'll probably never know what the developers meant by adding this. Emerald has a pretty lovely green texture, and I really like it. It has a pretty iconic look, but it had 3 different other variants while they were worked on in the texture update. Okay, so in July of 2017 Jeb has actually posted this picture, and it's kinda a mix of the current texture of emerald blocks and the old one, which is what they did for most textures. They kinda just mixed them in between, but yeah, later on they just did their own thing. In 18W43A they kinda just chose the shape that they wanted to have, but they weren't too, set on the color, so they made this one extra green, and I guess there was really too much green because 7 weeks later they actually changed it, but it wasn't to the texture that we actually know again. Okay, so 7 weeks after that block we got to this one, and this one is much less green, but it was still too green. So people just didn't like this too, and it took them 10 weeks until they changed it to what we have now. Moving on to item frames, which were added on August 16, 2012. But the day before we actually got a different texture for them, which was posted by Dinnerbone. And it looks extremely different. It kinda looks more like a painting than what we got normally, and it also got this little chain up there, which means that you can actually hang it. But on the picture that I posted you just put it on the wall, which is a little weird, but I guess that's why they actually changed it to the next day. I don't even know if I should talk about this because mob spawn eggs got changed in the recent update, but still I think that I'm going to mention it, because we are talking about the Hogling spawn egg, which is just more of a fun fact now. I'm not going to drag it too much, but this is how it looked like at Minecraft Live 2020, and it was just really weird. It didn't even suit the mob, and the mob didn't even have their own name yet. And the day it got actually added, it had the zombified piglin texture, or zombified piglin spawn egg texture, which is also weird. Okay, we still got 2 different blocks left, and now I'm going to talk about tropical fish, which is another mob, and they also have like thousands of variants. But they still had some other colors or some other looks that they were supposed to have, and these were shown at Minecraft Live 2017. And honestly, it's no surprise because literally everything shown at Minecraft Live 2017 was so unfinished that you just could not make up what they were adding actually. So yeah, this one is weird too, but it's not too different from what we got in the game. Okay, now let's go to a pretty lovely block, which is the bell, and no one complains about it. It's really lovely, but it got some textures that weren't added to the game, and one of them actually was in the game for a while. Sadly, I couldn't find too much info about how this worked and when they were added and when they were deleted, but at some point Java had these bells which had wooden legs instead of the stone ones, and later on they were actually removed, so I just don't know what happens because there's not too much info about this. but I still got a bunch of bells, or 3 bells, which are diorite, granite and polished granite, which are from Bedrock Edition, and the backstory behind them is quite funny, because they are probably not intended to be added ever, but they just happen to be in the files because the models and the stone things, they're actually connected to all the stones. So all the stones textures were just somehow connected to the game, and with commands you could just place these types of bells, which were of course deleted after some time. And that's actually everything for my video. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll make another part really soon, hopefully in like 2 days. And yeah, like and subscribe, I would really enjoy this, and yeah, let's get to 10,000 subscribers. Bye.